I feel like everybody's gravitated towards a different variation of Spider-Man, whether it's the Andrew Garfield one, the Drake Bell one on Disney XD, or most recently the Spider-Verse films where I'll be about 200 years old and on my deathbed when they finally release that third one, or even more recently with the Tom Holland one. But for this video I want to focus on the Sam Raimi ones, the movies I grew up with, to see if they're still good. We'll also rank them on a tier list at the end, and hey, if this video does well, I'm down to do the Andrew or Tom Holland one. But enough yapping, let's go into that first one. Coming out the year I was born, we have the first big screen adaptation of this character. The movie starts with this incredible opening credit sequence. It's iconic, the Danny Elfman score, the PS3 font, I'm glazing. We open the actual movie on a bus driver rage-baiting Peter, who's a nerd and crushing over Mary Jane Watson, the next door neighbor. They're on their way to a field trip with a bunch of other 30-year-old high schoolers before we're introduced to Harry and his dad, Norman Osborn. His character trait is that he's rich. And is it just me, or can nobody else watch this scene without seeing the McRib saga?
Nice to meet you, Peter. What do you know about the McRib?
The McRib? Oh, I don't know. They're okay, I guess.
They're at some spider museum or something, and Peter's actually interested in what they're doing with the spiders since he's a geek, and oh no, one of the spiders gets loose and bites him. There's a love triangle with MJ, Peter, and Harry. Sure. We cut to Oscorp, Mr. Osborn's company, who's making some sort of super serum and this flying machine, but his financial backers don't want to support him anymore since he's doing something they think is unsafe. Stressed, he uses it on himself, and we get a weird scene later on. We're introduced to Aunt May and Uncle Ben, where Ben was let go from his job and is struggling financially. This will be important later. Peter goes up to his room since he's not feeling well. We have this crazy dream sequence that's really loud, and he wakes up and doesn't need his glasses anymore and grows huge abs. He then stalks MJ and we see some of her messed up home life. This feels a little forced, I'll be honest. Uh-oh, Harry finds Norman on the floor and he's not feeling well, and it looks like his assistant is dead. Wonder who did that, man. We get the classic lunchroom scene where Peter finds out that he has powers. There's this insane CGI scene where Peter gets into a fight and beats this guy's ass. He climbs up a wall, and I mean, you know how this movie goes. He figures out he has powers, whatever. When he gets home, he has a talk with MJ that feels right out of Star Wars Episode 2 Attack of the Clones. Like, both of these actors are good. It's just the dialogue in this scene is so weird. Like, what are we doing? Peter gets the idea to make a suit and become a superhero through this odd little montage, but he needs money. So he lies to Uncle Ben about going to the library to study and instead goes to this wrestling event to win some cash. He enters and we get some dialogue that hasn't aged well. He then wins and is scammed by the owner. To get back at him, when a guy comes to rob him, he doesn't stop him. This will be very important later. Outside, Peter sees a crowd and heads in. He sees Uncle Ben, who just got shot. They have one final moment together before he passes. After he tries to catch the guy, it turns out that it's the guy who he let go during the wrestling match. He kills him and they graduate high school. It's just Peter and May to celebrate. They have a great talk about Ben, and Peter decides to use his powers for good, stopping local crime. We're then introduced to the GOAT, J. Jonah Jameson. He runs the newspaper company and hates Spider-Man. His back and forth with the other employees is incredible. The way he overpowers these people by just sitting down is just incredible. It's cinema. Guess what we got next? More awkward conversations with Peter and MJ. Yes. Even though MJ and Harry are dating, I don't know what's going on. Peter sees the ad Jonah put in the newspapers for Spider-Man and he eats it up, painting him as the villain. His company let Norman go. Yes. It's a Unity Day and Norman now attacks as the Green Goblin. Peter does his best to save people and she falls in love with him, I guess. Then the classic Norman schizophrenic scene where it's revealed that the real reason he attacked that day is because he wanted to kill the board members who forced him out of the company. Norman attacks again that night and he and Peter have a talk about heroes and why New York might turn on him eventually and asks him to join him. He has another talk with MJ when we get another iconic scene. Yep, more scenes of Peter saving people and authorities not liking the way he does it, but the citizens love him. It's Thanksgiving now and Norman and MJ meet for the first time. There's this tense little scene where Peter almost gets caught by Norman before he storms out. He is so freaky in this scene, bro. Like, the next scene shows Norman's schizo episode and he attacks May.
Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us.
Peter visits May in the hospital and so does MJ. They talk and May tells Peter to ask her out. He doesn't get a chance, but somehow she ends up on top of a giant tower. Peter swings in and Goblin makes him choose, save the people he doesn't know or the girl he loves. He does both in a honestly very intense scene. Peter then goes after Norman, who he kills accidentally, feeling awful. I mean, he killed his friend's dad, so he leaves the body in his bed and Harry materializes and gets mad at Spider-Man. This next scene at his funeral is where he says he's going to kill Spider-Man himself. Like, obviously not knowing that Peter did it, and then he leaves, I guess, and MJ spawns in in and tells Peter that she finally sees him and loves him, and he loves her too, but he can't say it because that put her in danger. It's the tough decision he has to make to be Spider-Man. He walks away and we go to the credits. Like, the movie ending like that is crazy, man. Obviously, I'm a little biased since I grew up with it, but it still holds up. Not so much the CGI or the dialogue, but the ideas and the overall story. Willem Dafoe and J.K. Simmons are obvious standouts, but there isn't a single bad actor. Hobie does a good job capturing Peter, but we'll see later how well he actually does capture Spider-Man. Spoilers, it's not great. Overall, a great start to the series, leaving it open for future sequels and continuation. There's so much to unpack here, and I'm definitely missing a lot of things. It's a weird ending to leave it on, but if you think about it, it does make sense. Peter spends the whole movie wanting to be with MJ, but so much has changed in the course of this movie, and he's grown and matured. She's the literal girl next door, and he refuses because he has more responsibility now. It's such an interesting choice to end the movie on. Let's see how they continue. The movie opens with a recap of the first one with these beautiful comic panels. Peter's a pizza delivery boy, and he's using his spider powers to deliver the said pizza. He gets fired from his job and meets Dr. Connors, one of his professors at college, who tells him that he's slacking on school. When he gets home, his aunt and his friends surprise him for his birthday party, and Harry's still trying to kill Spider-Man. Basically, Peter's life is off. You spend the first hour of the movie seeing Peter get beaten down. He tries to go to MJ's show, but is late and can't get in. We see the dichotomy of him being Spider-Man. Like, it's a hard job, and things in your life have to suffer because of relationships, jobs, school, everything. This is the core of Spider-Man. Peter struggles to keep everything in his life afloat while being Spider-Man, trying to find that balance. Meanwhile, Harry takes Peter to see Dr. Octavius, a man who is testing these new octopus arms, and who Harry's financially supporting. Things obviously go wrong, and Spider-Man tries to stop it, but Octavius gets in the way. His wife dies, and he gets zapped by electricity. During the most horror sequence I've ever seen in a superhero movie, Dr. Octavius kills a bunch of surgeons. It's obvious that these hands are controlling him. This is why it's so interesting to me. Peter's personal relationships with people are so interesting and relate to the story. Peter knows Ock, and that to me is so fascinating, him being the villain. At some weird event Peter goes to, he meets a drunk Harry and MJ who's dating another man. This whole scene is what I'm talking about. His friend hates him, MJ lost interest in him, and he can't get anything to eat or drink because everything in his life is falling apart. He loses his powers, and the final nail in the coffin is Jameson's propaganda. He decides to give up Spider-Man and return to college. When he does, his life starts to come together again. This montage proves it, but he notices that people are dying and crime is up because of this decision. He can't let people die and has a great talk with May about it. She gives him some of my favorite lines in the whole series, and he eventually decides to return as Spider-Man. The last fight is like 30 minutes long and insane. Peter giving his all to save people on this train and them honoring him by keeping a secret is an incredible decision. He defeats Ock and the movie's over. The movie ends with MJ running away from her wedding to be with Peter. She thinks she can handle Peter being Spider-Man and wants to be with him. We close the movie on him continuing to be Spider-Man. Can I just say, this is the best one so far. Spider-Man is not really about the villains he fights or the brawls he gets into. It's about the human stuff, the connections, the struggles that Peter faces to be Spider-Man. That is way more interesting to me than him just fighting villains for 2 hours. The reason this movie is so good is because it understands that. We see the repercussions of Peter choosing to have a good life. He has to do this because crime goes up without him. Even if he doesn't like it, he realizes that this is non-negotiable. The script here understands Spider-Man, and that is so important. Peter's connection to Doc Ock makes it interesting, but the grounded nature of him having a surprise birthday party, of him having relationship complications, like, this is the stuff we get attached to. No, that's the reason we like Spider-Man. We like to think that these huge heroes have lives and are just as awkward and weird as we are when they take off that mask. There's a reason Spider-Man is such a beloved character, and I think it's because of that. What a phenomenal continuation. Let's continue and hope they end it off right. We open on more recaps, and people love Spider-Man now. There's a new girl. Uh-oh, Gwen Stacy. Harry's still mad at Spider-Man, but they actually do something about it. He finds his father's Green Goblin cave and decides to continue the legacy, I guess. Peter's falling in love with MJ, but uh-oh, the symbiote Venom crash lands on Earth. It attaches itself to Peter's bike, and we cut to this guy who's running from the cops to see his daughter. This is Flint Marko, who gets berated by his wife. Peter gets attacked by Harry's Green Goblin. He hurts his head real bad, and we cut back to Flint, who's trying to escape the cop. He wanders into this sand thing that scientists are using for something, I don't really remember, and he gets turned into sand. Peter and MJ visit Harry, and he does not remember what happened. There's this beautiful moment without dialogue where Flint realizes that he's made of sand. The music, the CGI, the emotion, it's all perfect. Peter saves Gwen, and she falls in love with him. We're introduced to Eddie Brock, a competing photographer, and Sandman makes his first appearance in the city while Peter kisses Gwen. I'm sure. He tries to propose to MJ, but it doesn't go well. The next scene is where Peter finds Sandman Spider-Man killed his uncle, or at least was part of it, I guess. He gets taken over by the Venom thing and tries this new black suit out. He's now more cocky and arrogant. It honestly just feels so weird in this movie. He also kills Sandman. I feel like Tobey doesn't really do this justice, in my opinion, so it just feels off. He's not like the greatest Spider-Man, but he's a really good Peter Parker, if that makes sense. I don't really think he pulls off Spider-Man super well, but his Peter is amazing. We get development with Goblin and Venom, and let me just say that this is a mess. Who asked for 3 villains, even if one is sort of out of the picture now but comes back later? It's just so odd, man. Like, the personal scenes feel weird, and we end the movie with this weird little final battle where Harry sacrificed himself. It's just so weird. I feel like this movie would have been phenomenal if it was just Sandman and Goblin. I feel like these villains are way more interesting when they're related to Peter in some way. So Venom being there while not having a relation to Peter is so strange and does not fit. But that's Spider-Man 3. It's fine. If my synopsis really didn't make much sense to you, I promise the movie is even more insane. I'm not super crazy about everything it has to say or do, but it's got some good moments and incredible executions here and there, even if I think the stuff with Venom is so out of place. I think it's a cool idea. Maybe it would be better if he had his own solo movie where he fought Spider-Man, but we still haven't gotten that like 20 years later. There's just too much going on. It's not like it's hard to follow, but it just has some weird moments that feel off compared to the other ones. But those are the first Spider-Man movies. I don't really love each and every one, but they all have something to offer. I think Sam Raimi did an incredible job with what he was given, and after seeing the Evil Dead movies, I can see some little moments where he shines. It's not as insane as Evil Dead 2, but it's a good trilogy that opened up so many doors for this series. Like, these were the first to ever do it. I just think they're all interesting in their own right, with incredible moments and natural human care put into it. I grew up with these, and revisiting them has put into perspective how much effort and passion went into them, especially that second one. I will love these movies until the day I die. And that's the video. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you CG Vibe and Europain for being constant members, and I'll see you in the next one.